What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another transfer update video, and today is the day before Arsenal play against Liverpool for the final pre-season game over here in Philadelphia. And listen, big up to everyone in the comments yesterday, by the way. I was talking about the history of Philly and certain things over here. I did forget to mention Beanie Siegel. And a lot of you let me know that Kobe Bryant was born in Philadelphia, and I'm a massive basketball fan, and I didn't actually know that. So, you know, you learn something every day. Big up to everyone in the comments for keeping me on track with my Philadelphia history, man. And listen, I'm here. It's a bit more overcast than it was in LA, I gotta be honest, but we had a fantastic day over here yesterday. It was the media day, and we was at the Philadelphia Union Stadium, the MLS side, and Arsenal were training there yesterday. We got some unbelievable interaction and insight into things happening at Arsenal. Calafiori was announced as we were there, and they told us, listen, press conference is going to be delayed. Calafiori is going to be announced any minute. Calafiori was announced. Not only was he announced, he walks out of the changing room onto the pitch as we're pitch side. We got the very first look at Calafiori as an Arsenal player, and obviously he was interviewed as well and asked questions, which was brilliant. He spoke fantastic English, by the way, which I was unsure, does he speak good English or not? He spoke perfect English, said how excited he was to join the club, and obviously now it's about seeing him play. And you know, hopefully he's a fantastic signing. We have some unbelievable strength in depth in that defence now. When you look at Calafiori and Timber, basically Timber is like a new signing being added to the squad. He only played 50 minutes last year, so we had the best defence in the Premier League already. You've now added Calafiori, so good luck to him. He looks big, solid. Let's hope he's a quality defender, and it'll be interesting to see if he plays at left back or at centre back or whether he's on the bench. But it is fantastic strength in depth for the club. As I said, we was at the open training session, saw the team train, had some fantastic interaction with the players. There was a moment at the end, which we didn't get on camera, but we was outside the stadium waiting for a taxi, and Odegaard, Ben White, Timber and Nwaneri came outside the ground. They were walking across to the training pitch, and they came out of their way, like they were probably 20 yards away from us. They came over to us, tapped us and started speaking, and it was just a great moment, very relaxed. And we spent probably 30 seconds just chatting to them all. And you know, it's a very different environment to when we're back in England, and obviously there's very little interaction, or you know, with the players in terms of like going to training sessions and things like that. So it's very good. And obviously I did ask Mikel Arteta another question in the press conference, and I have to say, Mikel, fair play to you, man, because we was in the press conference, me and Robbie was in this time, and Robbie asked a question, good question as well. Robbie asked, would Calafiori play on Wednesday? And the guy who was running the presser then ended the press conference. I had my hand up to ask Arteta a question, but he wasn't looking in my direction. So he ends the press conference, but Arteta was looking over towards me. So Arteta was about to get up and leave the press conference as the media guy was ending it. But Arteta saw me with my arm up and said, like, yo, do you want to ask another question? And I was like, yeah. And he said, and then he sits back down and says, ask the question. So I was like, you know what, fair play to him for doing that, because he could have easily just walked out with the press guy saying the press conference is over. So big up Mikel Arteta on that one. What question did I ask him? I said, Mikel, last season we signed Declan Rice for a huge transfer fee. Do you believe Arsenal can sign a player of that level financially this summer? Obviously we're looking at strikers, and we spoke about Osimhen at maybe 100 million and things like that. And he said at the moment, it's not likely. It's not a reality that we will go to that level. Now, what do we make of that? Is Arteta being coy? Doesn't want everyone to know that we've got a lot of money to spend and trying to keep the market calm? Or is it the reality that we don't have that kind of money, and that, you know, we're not going to make a marquee signing this summer financially. I hope it's the first one, and he's just playing it smart to not make the competition aware of the fact that Arsenal have got a lot of money to spend. So let's see what happens with that one, people. But yeah, great interaction again, as I said, people. Let's talk transfers. There's a story that's everywhere today. We've just mentioned Calafiori there, but Arsenal being linked today with German international winger Leroy Sane. Now, we all know that there was this story out that Arsenal were going to sign a mystery German player. Arsenal were going to get a German international player. I think it was Team News and Tickets revealed it around 4 or 5 weeks ago. I've heard over the past few days that player was Leroy Sane. A lot of people said it was Joshua Kimmich, but a lot of people are saying it was Leroy Sane. Now, this story is a little bit conflicting, and I'll break it down and tell you why. Bayern Munich are basically saying they want Leroy Sane to stay. They have no intention of selling him. But the problem is, Leroy Sane has 1 year left on his contract and so far hasn't renewed that deal. Bayern Munich are saying if Sane is not prepared to extend that contract, they may be willing to sell him. They don't want him to go into the final year of his contract. They see him as a star player. They're not prepared to let him go for free next summer. And as of yet, Leroy Sane has not agreed to the deal. Now, the reports actually state that Mikel Arteta may have spoken to Leroy Sane about a move to Arsenal this summer. And we know it's quite well documented that the two of them have a fantastic relationship from their time at Manchester City. So he does know him. He has worked with him before. There was all these stories that Arteta, how he transformed Sane and Sterling when he was at Manchester City. Would you guys take Leroy Sane? The reports state that Bayern Munich would want around 50 to 60 million pounds for Leroy Sane. Now, just quickly, my opinion on Sane. I think he's an absolutely brilliant player. We saw it, unfortunately, at the Emirates when he ripped up Kivior. He wasn't particularly great in the Euros. And he is 28 years of age and he's on a massive wage, £275,000 a week, Leroy Sane. I don't see the deal happening. I don't. I know we've been linked with 28-year-olds this summer, Mikel Merino, and you know there were links to Ivan Toney at one stage. I think you can sign a 28-year-old. I don't look at a 28-year-old as, oh, you can't buy a player of that expense. But I do think you've got to be careful when you're spending such a big wage. Would you commit to Sane on, for example, a 4 or 5 year contract on £275,000 a week? Listen, let me know in the comments. I'll be honest, I'm a big fan of Leroy Sane. If I take away the finances and just consider the player, I would take him every single day of the week. Imagine Sane, Saka, Martinelli and Trossard as our 4 wingers. That is unbelievable strength in depth. But the financial commitment would be huge for a player of that age. And I'm just not sure Arsenal would do that. Like I said, I think they could sign a 28-year-old, but I think they'd be looking for cut price deals. If you can get Sane for maybe 40 million with a year left, yeah, maybe they will do it. Would I do it? Listen, I just want Arsenal to win the league. I'm not the financial guy, so I would just say buy him. I think he's a fantastic player. So yeah, I probably would do the deal. But do I think Arsenal will do it? I'm not so sure, but they do say Mikel Arteta loves him as a player, so maybe he'd be prepared to make an exception for Leroy Sane. Let me know in the comments. 50 to 60 million for Sane, 275 grand a week, 28. Would you do the deal? I mean, I probably would, but I don't think the club would do it if I'm being realistic. So let's see what happens with that one. Fabrizio's been talking again about Arsenal's move for Mikel Merino. In fact, we've got direct quotes from the Real Sociedad president who has said they have offered him a new contract. They want him to stay, but as of yet, he has rejected all approaches for a new contract. He has offers on the table, and once he tells the club what offer he wants to be accepted, Sociedad will negotiate with that club and do the deal. They will not stand in his way. They have told him, out of respect for him, they will negotiate a move as long as the price works for them. And also, they are prepared to let him go at the right price. It looks as if we're playing a waiting game. There were a lot of reports Mourinho has agreed to join Arsenal. It looks like that might not quite be the case. I think it's a case of, I'm happy with the offer that Arsenal have made. I am willing to join Arsenal, but I need some time. We know Atletico Madrid have been linked, Barcelona. Is he completely against renewing at Sociedad? It looks as if he will leave, but maybe, you know, obviously this is 28 years of age. This is probably the last big move of his career, and he's going to want to get it right, understandably so. So Mikel Arteta to Arsenal is in the balance, not quite happened yet. So let's see what happens with that one. And then the final incoming transfer story of the day: Arsenal are back in talks to sign Dan Bentley from Wolves. They're obviously looking for another goalkeeper. Karl Heiner's done well on the tour. It looks as if Hein will be loaned out. They want him to go and get first-team football, and it looks as if Bentley could come in. Arsenal made this £50,000 offer. Apparently Wolves want between £700,000 and £800,000, maybe even up to £1 million with add-ons. Arsenal apparently are going to go back in with an improved offer. Hopefully not 51,000 or 50,000 and £1 like Luis Suarez. But they're going to go back in. They want Dan Bentley. Obviously you've got to have so many English players in your squad. We know that Smith Rowe could be on his way, and Ketty has been linked with a move. Nelson, Ramsdale, these guys. So Arsenal may have to get some English players in to obviously match the quota. So it looks like they will go back in for that one. Two more stories before we get out of here, and these are player sales, people. We saw the news yesterday. We knew it was happening. Emile Smith Rowe has left the training camp in America. He's flown back to London to basically complete his medical and sign for Fulham. Listen, the reaction of nearly every Arsenal fan that you speak to is the same. Nobody wants Smith Rowe to leave Arsenal. We all wanted him to stay here and be a success. He had the song with Saka. I think we all know he's a fantastic player on his day. It just hasn't happened for him for the last 2 years. Last year he spent most of the season on the bench. Season before he struggled with injuries. Arteta obviously wants him to go and get game time, and Smith Rowe wants to get game time. It's a shame it's got to end, but we've got to get the best transfer fee we can and move on, unfortunately. Maybe with Ethan Nwaneri's great form in pre-season, that has also convinced them Smith Rowe can go. £34 million fee, £27 million up front, with £7 million in add-ons for Smith Rowe. And listen, all the best to him. He's given me a couple of really good interviews since I've been over here the last couple of years. Always interacts when you see him in the mix zone. You know, I've got a lot of time for him as a player and as a person from when I've met him, and I wish him all the best at Fulham, I really do. And apart from the 2 games against Arsenal. So big up to Smith Rowe, good luck, and we move, people. Are you fit, bruv? Part 3. It didn't happen, you know. I did see him after the United game, but he was down, he had his head down, he walked out with security, didn't get a chance to speak to him. So good luck to Smith Rowe. And the final story of the day, people: Nottingham Forest being linked today with a move for Aaron Ramsdale. They're said to be very keen. They probably feel a bit hard done by. They've signed Matt Turner from us last summer. That one, of course, hasn't worked out, and they're looking for a first choice goalkeeper. They are interested in signing Ramsdale, although they are said to be not happy with the price of 30 million. Now, Ramsdale is worth 30 million all day long. England international, mid-20s, but Forest apparently are struggling to pay that much money. And it could be a situation where it's a loan, maybe with an obligation to buy, where they pay part transfer fee now and some at the end of the season. And we'll see what happens with that. I'm really intrigued to see what Arsenal do with Aaron Ramsdale. I think a lot of clubs would sign him, but we expected some of the bigger clubs to be in for him, who would easily be able to pay that transfer fee. Because he's being linked with clubs in the bottom half of the table, it might be a little bit more difficult. So we'll see what happens with that one. People, slightly longer video today. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. I actually had a Philly cheesesteak yesterday, Pat's and Gino's, famous spot in Philly. Big up everyone who's been letting me know the spots. I think we're going to go to the Rocky Balboa steps today and things like that. We might even go to a baseball game later on. And look out for the content. Previews will be out today. I'll be at the game tomorrow, so anyone who's about, link up at the stadium, people. Take care, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you all tomorrow, people. Bless.